Global Heroes podcast, The Deep Dive. We explore the stories behind the headlines of our uplifting news features. Don't forget to follow us on social and subscribe to our free newsletter for your regular boost of positivity. Okay, let's get into it. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really significant piece of international human rights law.
That's right. The UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, UNDRIP as it's known.
And what's really striking, I think, is how it came about. It's actually the world's first international human rights instrument developed in direct partnership with the very people whose rights are being discussed.
It really is an amazing story of perseverance.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes back decades. Started way back in the early 1970s.
Wow, the 70s.
Yeah. You have to picture indigenous rights defenders, making these long trips repeatedly to UN headquarters in Geneva.
That's a huge undertaking.
Huge. Facing bureaucratic walls, constantly looking for funding, and critically often risking real retaliation back home from hostile governments.
That's to be heard.
Exactly. All to ensure that those universal human rights standards, the ones everyone else took for granted, actually applied to them too, without discrimination.
And that incredible effort, it really did pay off.
Yeah.
September 13, 2007.
A landmark date. The UN General Assembly adopted the declaration overwhelmingly.
And this wasn't just, ticking a box. It signaled a global shift, a recognition that respecting these rights would actually enhance harmonious and cooperative relations. That's the language used.
Yeah, and the feeling on that day. North American indigenous representatives put out this joint statement, powerful stuff. They called it the opportunity for a new beginning, for another kind of relationship with states.
A new beginning. That really captures it. Okay, so we have this declaration. But sometimes UN documents can feel a bit abstract.
Yeah.
What exactly is UNDRIP? What does it mean in practice?
That's key. So it's the most comprehensive international statement on the rights of indigenous peoples. But here's the crucial part. It doesn't invent new rights.
Okay.
What it does is take existing, universally recognized human rights things like equality, non-discrimination, cultural rights, and it applies them specifically to the unique situations and contexts of indigenous peoples worldwide, their cultures, their histories, their political realities.
Got it. So applying existing standards fairly. If that's the overall idea, is there like a core principle, a cornerstone?
Absolutely. Article 3. The right to self-determination.
Self-determination.
It's fundamental. It's the right all peoples have to freely determine their political status and pursue their own economic, social, and cultural development. The Declaration confirms this inherent right belongs to indigenous peoples too. It can't be denied any longer.
And it frames the relationship differently, right? Not dependency, but partnership. Consistent with the state's integrity, of course, but a fundamental shift.
Precisely. A shift towards partnership and respect.
Now, bringing this closer to home for many of our listeners, Canada, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission really hammered this home.
They did. The TRC specifically pointed to UNDRIP, Call to Action number 43, calls on all levels of government, federal, provincial, territorial, municipal, to fully adopt and implement the declaration as the framework for reconciliation.
And it wasn't just a passing mention, was it?
Not at all. It's referenced, I think, 21 times in the 94 calls to action. It's foundational to their vision of reconciliation.
So how's Canada doing on that front, legally speaking?
Well, it was a bit slow to start after 2007, but there's been major progress recently. National legislation passed in 2021. Big step.
What did that legislation do?
It formally recognized that the declaration has application in Canadian law. This isn't just symbolic. It mandates the government to consult and cooperate with Indigenous peoples to make sure Canada's laws are consistent with UNDRIP standards.
And the courts have weighed in, too.
Yes, significantly. The Supreme Court of Canada has actually stated that UNDRIP standards are now considered part of the positive law of Canada.
Wow, okay, so that moves it from an international declaration to something with real teeth domestically.
Exactly. It translates those global human rights norms into tangible legal reality here.
So boiling it down, the fundamental purpose, the ultimate goal of UNDIP.
The declaration itself says it best. It establishes the minimum standards for the survival, dignity, and well-being of the indigenous peoples of the world.
Minimum standards. That's a powerful baseline.
It sets the floor. Not the ceiling, but the essential minimum.
When you think about the history, centuries where governments often held unchecked power over Indigenous people's lives.
A dark history, no question.
This declaration offers a completely different path forward. One based on respect, cooperation, and honoring the right of Indigenous peoples to make their own decisions about their own futures.
It's a paradigm shift. moving away from unilateral power towards partnership.
And making this real, making sure these minimum standards are met, it's not just up to governments, is it?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
While you definitely need that whole of government commitment, true implementation, lasting change, it really requires everyone, all people in Canada, holding governments accountable to the human rights commitments they've made.
It takes all of us. So, a final thought maybe for you, the listener, to consider. How might really leaning into this, supporting the implementation of these inherent rights governments can't just give or take away. How might that actually spark a revitalization, tangible renewal of indigenous languages, cultures, community strength right there in your own region?
That's the potential, isn't it? Moving beyond mere survival to genuine vitality. A powerful thing to think about.
That's it for today's deep dive. Want more? Stay connected with global heroes through our newsletter and socials.